The champ is here. I'm just playing. We are joined in the studio by a cruiserweight champion of the world, Chris Billam-Smith. What time do you get up and go for a run in the morning?
Shane's new school. My coach, Shane McGuigan, he's new school. He's not about this.
10:30. Meet for a coffee and a croissant?
Yeah, that's it. Get a coffee, get in the gym, do some punching, and we usually do our runs probably later in the day.
Have you ever got up at 4 o'clock to go running?
Oh, do you know what? Years ago, when I used to watch Mayweather fights, I used to watch him, and I'd be so inspired. I'd go out, I'd go home from watching it at my mate's house and go for a run at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Before I went to sleep.
He used to do mad stuff though, Mayweather, run in the middle of the night, go to the gym, play basketball in the middle of the night.
I think he used to sleep during the day, and because of the heat in Vegas, and so that's why I think he done it.
Is he your idol, Mayweather?
No, he's obviously he's a huge star. He's not my idol.
Who did you look up to?
I always looked up to George Groves, and then I ended up sparring him. Then he was training at Shane's, and I was sparring him there. And then I joined the gym, and now we're mates.
What's that like then? If you're sat on your backside as a kid wanting to be a boxer, and you look up, you see George Groves on the box, and then years later you find yourself in the ring, and you got to punch him in the face before he punches you. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, I remember after the first time I sparred him, I was like, "Thanks, George. It's an honour to spar you. I was at both Froch fights, the Gale fight, and then obviously winning one his world title as well. So it was amazing experience. And now, like I said, we talk, every week. So
are they, when you're sparring, I'm always curious, when you're sparring, I know you got all the head guards on, right? And the gloves, I'm guessing, are slightly heavier.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you hitting him as hard as you would do someone in a world title fight? Yeah,
a lot of people think our sparring's light, but the way we spar is it's a fight with headgear and bigger gloves on. And I think that's it's like anything. You've got to train, as hard as you can, get as close to the real thing as you can. So yeah.
So when do you stop sparring then before a fight? If your fight Saturday night, when will you stop sparring then?
Anywhere 8 to 10 days before.
Oh, okay.
So you obviously don't want to do anything fight week and
yeah.
And
do you like getting hit in the face?
If you watch my fights, you'd think so. I'm not the most offensive.
I've asked boxers that before, and I get mixed answers. Some say I love it, and others say I hate it.
It's a strange thing. I do enjoy having that sort of primal feeling of having a tear up.
Do you?
And I think that's something that is you need at the top level, but also you don't want to rely on your chin.
Yeah. Were you having them as a kid?
No, I only started boxing when I was 16.
How did you get into it?
My brother was into it a little bit. Then when I watched my mate box and we were all chanting his name, I was like, that must be amazing having all your mates there chant your name. And then
so that was it, because they were singing his name.
I just want to be centre of attention.
You had that at your birthday though, right? Wait.
It's not enough.
And now you've got it. They're all chanting your name with the world champion on the back of it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let me get your view on other things that's happening in and around the boxing. In fact, have a listen to this first. Matchroom chairman Eddie Hearn joined the Breakfast Show this morning. Said he hopes to see Anthony Joshua take on Zhilei Zhang in China this year.
Obviously, AJ beat Zhang in the Olympics. It's a fight that we represented Zhang a few years ago. He's getting on now. I think he's in his 40s, but he's a big, dangerous heavyweight. Big fight in China, potentially. Zhang against Anthony Joshua. Of course, the talks continue for us with AJ against Wilder. It doesn't look like that fight's going to materialise till probably February or March now. So there is a chance that AJ fights in December as well. And he'd definitely be up for the Zhang fight.
Before I get your view on who you think would win Zhang against AJ and how you think that fight will go, you see the Joyce fight with Zhang at the weekend?
I've seen.
Hold on, your mic's not on. There you go, sorry.
I've seen some highlights of it. It's a fantastic knockout. Zhang's he's an awkward night for anyone. I think he's got the one loss on his record against Hrgovic, but it's a fantastic finish from him the other day. Just fed him sort of the left hand to the body and came out with the right hook. And Joyce is obviously, like I was saying earlier, you can't rely on your chin. He's got a fantastic chin, Joyce, but you can't rely on it because anyone can get knocked out.
Did that shock you though, that result? The first fight shocked me because I thought Joe Joyce would win, but then the way the second fight ended, did that shock you?
Yeah, I think I picked Joyce to stop him late on. I thought he'd make the adjustments, not get hit as much and as clean in the second fight. And then, because in the first fight, Zhang was tiring in round 6, and I think it was a couple of rounds away from getting stopped, to be honest, because Joyce just comes on like a freight train, doesn't he? So, he's... It just shocked me massively.
What do you think should be the next step for Joyce? Because he's knocking on the door 40 now. And I do worry about him. He came in the studio before the first fight, and he's got that when I was speaking to him, I can only talk from experience. He had that sort of glazed look over his eyes. And then in this fight against Zhang, he was incredibly slow. He hardly did anything. He got caught by an awful punch. I mean, he was the sort of punch I would imagine you train to get out of the way for. And he caught him flush on the chin. He went down. I just wonder now if he should go back in the ring at his age and after a knockdown like that.
Yes, it's hard. It's hard. I think a lot of people get to that stage and they get beat, and they're so close to fighting for a world title, and he still hasn't boxed for a world title. So it's what will his mental health be like? Just given like retiring now, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, will it spiral out of control? Because I think that's the biggest thing for boxers is that want for something. He's done it his whole, for however many years, and now he's done it. Must be over 20 years, and it's all he's sort of ever known. So to then just take that away, it's always difficult, especially when you haven't achieved your dreams and your goals. So it's not for me to say. I think that his team and his family will know what's best. He can rebuild, but you got to really change a lot of things mentally. You got to really, really focus and find that hunger again, which might be difficult to do.
A quick word about Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou. Is that good for boxing?
It brings eyes to the sport from different areas in terms of MMA fans. I don't think it's good for boxing because he's holding a belt hostage as such.
Yeah.
And I think that's the frustrating thing for a lot of fans. But it's a business, and I think if anyone was put in his shoes and you can have what is seen as an easier fight for maybe more money, in terms of if he was to fight Wilder, you might earn more money from Ngannou because of the crossover. Then why wouldn't you?
Would you fight a YouTuber?
I mean, it's hard to turn down the money, I imagine. But
if I put up 40 quid to fight Bentley, would you do it?
Why are you playing me? You fight him.
Okay, 30 quid for Bentley. Listen, before we let you go, just a quick word about your Bournemouth side. How do you think they'll get on this season? What have you made to their start, and how do you think they'll do?
I think the results, they obviously haven't looked great with the results, but they're playing really well. We're exciting to watch, I think, at the moment. I think the fans are pretty relaxed, and a lot of time, I think maybe last year, if this was the results, you wouldn't think we would be relaxed, but had some really tough run of games, got a point away at Brentford, which is a good point. A lot of teams would take that. I know they haven't been the best form as of late. Chelsea the same, took a point there, got a point against West Ham first game of the season, and I know they're only single points, but they're 3 points that you'd probably take. We just need to pick up a win, but they're playing well. We've got loads of injuries. We signed 3 or 4, 5 injured players, but it's exciting because there's obviously a long-term plan at the club now under Bill Foley, and it's a really exciting time, I think, to be a Bournemouth fan, with the new training ground, new stadium is being spoke about, and a whole new sort of way of the club running, and it's I'm really excited about the future.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
If you had to choose one for the next 10 years, you to be champion of the world and Bournemouth go down, or Bournemouth win the Premier League but you're never champion of the world, what would you take?
As in, I have to take away the night. Oh, I don't do that to me.
Let's call it a draw. Chris, thank you so much. A real pleasure. Genuinely, we get so excited when superstars like yourself come in, so I appreciate your time. Next time, bring the belt.
I will. Thanks for having me, gents.
A real pleasure. Thank you. The wonderful Chris Billam-Smith.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.